Thank you for listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, where we discuss the latest and greatest news in the world of sports. I'm Alex.
And I'm Ben.
How was your weekend? How was your Memorial Day weekend?
It was actually pretty nice for the most part, just working, but, weekends are always fun whether you're working or not. It's always more lively.
How'd you deal with this heat?
The heat's
never
a
wave.
good thing. I hate the heat.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the Miami heat, I'm talking about the weather.
It gets a little hot in Miami, too.
Well, it's a lot more humid there, but then they
True.
have the ocean.
California has the ocean, but nowhere near
Not
us.
Sacramento. We have a river that's dirty.
I have a pool.
Yeah, I don't. So, and what sucks most is I work outside most of the day. So I'm just baking in the heat, just dying.
Where I work is such a big building that the air conditioning really doesn't do much for me.
Yeah, I can picture that.
So that's a disappointment, but, it's not about that. It's about Memorial Day weekend. And
Yeah.
do you know what we did on Memorial Day weekend?
What'd you do?
We ruined a young man's hitting streak.
Well, I feel like we're just the kiss of death with baseball.
Jackie
First it
Bradley
was
Jr.'s
Chris Sale,
hitting
and now
streak
we
ended.
did first Chris Sale. Now we did Bradley Jr.
Yeah. But we shouldn't talk about him, but Xander Bogaerts extended his hitting streak to 23 games. So,
And now he'll probably just not get a hit in his next game because of us.
and then start another
That's just
hitting
what we
streak.
do. We just crush everyone's dreams.
That's true. On to the episode where we crush more dreams. We talk about the NBA Finals today, and we do have a final set.
Yes,
Like we were
after
talking about last
night's
week.
game.
Yeah, after last night's game, which we'll recap. The Golden State Warrior Oklahoma City game. And we'll talk about the first game of the NHL Finals, Sharks at Penguins, and give you some good old recaps on those.
Yes, we will.
So let's get into the first bit of news for the day is the Western Conference Final Game 7. You know it's the first Game 7 since Lakers-Kings in 2002?
You talking about the Western Conference?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah.
I know that the East had won a couple years ago with the Pacers and the Heat.
Mm-hmm. There's the first since that 2002 or 3 series, whichever it was, is the first Western Conference game final, Game 7. I struggled through that. Western Conference Finals Game 7.
There you go.
It's in like the last 14 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
It is. I mean, there's nothing better than a Game 7 really in anything.
True.
Baseball, hockey, basketball, you name
And
it.
it didn't disappoint either. So it was a pretty good game. Golden State got the win 96-88. It was close the entire game until those last 5 minutes for the Thunder. We looked at the game before last. Did we talk about that, or did that happen on
Game 6, that happened in between.
That happened on Saturday. Okay, let's go ahead and I'll pull that up too. I want to make sure that we cover that game because that was a pretty it was a doozy.
Yeah, the Thunder yet again blow another fourth quarter lead in that game. They were up by 8 going into the fourth quarter, and then they ended up not closing it out and winning the game. They lost that game 108-101 to the Warriors.
Yeah, and the last 5 minutes, I watched both games, and the last 5 minutes of that game, I mean, just turnover. Like I can try to find the play-by-play, and I really want to say it was the last 2 minutes, maybe, was just miserable for the Thunder. It was one of the worst ball handling kind of show I've seen in a while. So I want to get to about starting at 5:47, I guess. Serge Ibaka loses the ball on a foul. Then we come down to, I just want to find where all these started happening.
Yeah, they played really sloppy in that last bit. The Warriors really got carried in that fourth quarter by Klay Thompson. He finished with 41 points that game, and Curry also chipped in to help. But Klay Thompson really played well in that Game 6. He had 11 three-pointers, which is a postseason record.
It was insane. But so it pretty much starts here. So Kevin Durant, bad pass. Thunder timeout. Russell Westbrook misses driving layup. Thunder offensive team rebound. Kevin Durant misses 11-foot jumper. Comes back down. Russell Westbrook lost ball turnover. Kevin Durant misses 25-foot three-pointer. Russell Westbrook out of bounds. Lost ball turnover. Russell Westbrook bad pass. Russell Westbrook bad pass. Foul on Russell Westbrook there. Durant loses the ball on turnover, 7 seconds left. It was just not the kind of – I mean, and they played a great game.
Yeah, that game
they were
was
winning
tied
that
with,
game.
The game was tied with 2 minutes left
at
101, and then the Warriors ended up scoring 7 in a row to
it was really weird, too, because and I was watching the game, and at no point did the Warriors throughout the game ever lead by more than something like 5 points.
Yeah,
until the end
Thunder
of the
were
game.
up pretty much the whole way.
Yeah, the Thunder outscored them in the first quarter 23-20 and 30-28. They outscored them in every quarter, and then 30-27 every quarter but the fourth quarter.
And that's been the Thunder Achilles heel all year, is blowing fourth quarter leads.
Yeah, and we talked about Klay Thompson had a killer game. Yeah, you were right. He has 11 for 18 on his three-pointers. He was 14 for 30 from the field. He had a total of 41 points. He played 40 minutes. Steph didn't have a great game, but he had a pretty good game with 31 points.
He hit the 6 threes, which is big.
Yeah, 6. I mean, it's not 11, but 6 is.
That's what you need from
Steph.
I feel like they really carried Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Really carried to come back for the Warriors. I feel like Draymond Green really, really struggled this whole series, and I feel like he's really going to come out in the finals and have a lot to prove because he struggled in this series. But the backcourt of Curry and Thompson really carried them last night and in Game 6.
Yeah, and you and I were saying, too, that in Game 6 that the one thing that couldn't happen was Draymond have a bad game again. And he played 43 minutes. He had 12 points, but he had 12 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, a block. He played a lot better than the games prior to that. And then we look over at the Thunder side. Kevin Durant had 29 and Westbrook had 28 in those games, but they collectively together had 8 turnovers. The team themselves, I'm interested to see what the turnover they had. They had 15 turnovers that game against the 14 of the Warriors. And again, that's not bad to be that close, but the Thunder had, I want to say, 5 of those turnovers in the last 4 minutes.
Yeah, the Thunder yet again blow another lead.
Yeah, and that's really just not how you win games.
And then last night they were up by 13 in the first half, and then the Warriors. Last night I feel like it was really a tale of two halves. The Warriors really struggled in the first half, and in that third quarter they just exploded.
Yeah,
so they really took control of the game.
Yeah, if we move over to last night's game, Oklahoma again outscored them in the first and second quarters 24-19, 24-23, and then the Golden State only won the third quarter, 29-12. I mean, that's bad, 12 points in the third quarter.
Yeah, the 12 points for the Thunder was their lowest total in a quarter this whole postseason, and it's really the worst time to have it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that being said, that's probably that quarter there is the reason they lost the game.
Definitely. Besides
the poor play near the end there, just not really getting their shots to fall. They outscored them 28-25. Golden State got outscored in the fourth by Oklahoma City, but that poor 12 points in one quarter, that's hard to come back from for anybody.
And the Thunder had their chance there in the fourth quarter. They were down 11, and then Durant scored 7 in a row and cut it to 4.
Yeah, it was really good.
From there, it was a couple minutes left. Then Ibaka got the foul on Curry when he shot a three-pointer, and that really – because Curry's He's pretty much automatic from the free throw line.
Yeah, he
cut the lead. He
3 for 3 last night.
Enhanced the lead from 4 to 7. So
yeah, and those were his only shots that night too. 3 for 3 from the line. We look at Durant had a pretty decent game though. That was, my girlfriend was sitting there. She goes, "I think it's going to go to overtime," because it got closer and closer. As time was going on. But we look at Durant. He was 10 for 19 from the field. He's 3 for 7 from 3. It's not horrible. But he had 2 turnovers, that's not bad, honestly. Total of 7 rebounds. He had a good game. Westbrook, on the other hand, struggled at times. He was 3 for 4 and from the line, 2 for 6 from 3, but he was 7 for 21 from the field.
Yeah, he shot the ball really bad last night.
Yeah,
I feel like when I was watching that game, when the Thunder got down, they were just down by a couple, maybe 3 or 4, and they really lost their heads. They started, especially with Deion Waiters and Westbrook, they really started bickering and arguing with each other. They started taking really bad shots. Westbrook wasn't being really aggressive in attacking the basket. He started throwing up some three-pointers, which is not his game, getting out of control. When he did attack, I feel like they really kind of panicked because in that first half they played really well. They got a lot of members involved. Cantor was getting involved. Ibaka, Steven Adams was getting involved on the offensive rebounding side. But in the second half, the Thunder got behind, and then they kind of like, okay, let's play 2-on-5, and only Westbrook gets the ball and only Durant gets the ball, and then we'll just everyone else get out of the way, and that really hurt them last night.
That's one thing I've never really loved about the Thunder style of basketball is the way Westbrook plays, and he's good enough to do it, is when he just runs down the court and he'll try to make something quick happen. But I feel like at times he does that without any notion to let an offensive, any kind of offensive play develop.
Yes.
And I feel like you can't win games like that eventually because you're just you're ruining opportunities to score. And not only that, you're giving them the ball back in just 10 seconds. He sprints down the court, misses a layup, and then they have the ball back in 5 seconds almost, So that's not, the Warriors played their style of basketball, and I can't say the Thunder did. Steph Curry was 13 for 24 from the field. He's 7 of 12 from 3-point, so that was much needed for them, getting 21 points from 3-point range from him. And Klay was a pedestrian after last game, 6 for 11.
Yeah, Klay
he made
Thompson
as many
really,
as he attempted last game.
Klay Thompson really impressed me so much more because everyone looks at him as kind of taking a back seat to Curry, but and obviously I think Curry's still a better player, but Thompson really carried them in Game 6, and then
100%.
Curry carried them last night, but without Thompson being there and also stepping up, hitting the 6 threes as you mentioned, it would have been a totally different game. I feel like last night, especially in the fourth quarter, Curry really showed us why he's the unanimous MVP. A lot of talk going into these last few games is how he's not necessarily as good of a defender as people had originally thought, and when you're playing Russell Westbrook,
yeah, it's hard to defend him no matter what.
Yeah, no one can guard him. But Curry really proved that he who laughs last laughs the loudest, and he got the best of the whole Thunder team in that fourth quarter.
And that is one thing, too, that I don't mean to only say about Westbrook either, is at times Steph does come down the court and just shoot, 3 feet in front of the arc, put him up threes. And sometimes he misses them, I'd say sometimes because it's crazy how often he makes those.
Yeah.
But their team is well-rounded enough to get those rebounds, or they'll get the ball back and they'll still run plays, or he'll take those shots 10, 15 seconds into the shot clock. So I don't have a problem as much with that being said. But team high 36 points for Steph. Klay had 21 on 19 from the field, like I said, 19 shots from the field, 7 made and 6 threes. Their bench didn't really do much for them.
Their bench didn't do much, but I felt like they really stepped up in key spots. Like Verja only played 2 minutes, but it was probably the most important 2 minutes of the game because he drew a charge on Westbrook. Remember when they were up 11, he had the ball at the top of the key, and then he sort of penetrated to the basket and put in a layup.
And he had 2 assists in those 2 minutes.
Yeah, he also one of those assists was huge because he kicked it out to Barnes in the corner, who hit a 3, which I think that took the lead from 8 to 11.
Yeah, and Barnes had a good night too.
Yeah, Barnes played really well. He played really good defense as well.
Yeah, for 22 minutes.
Barnes really rotating those 2 guys on people like Durant really helps.
Yeah, with only 22 minutes, he had 5 points. He had 3 shots made, 2 from field goal range and 1 3, but he had 7 defensive rebounds and 1 offensive rebound, 2 assists, 2 steals. He had a pretty productive time off the bench.
Absolutely.
As opposed to the Thunder's defense, Thunder's bench, is you only had Waiters and Cantor really coming in producing off the bench there. I mean, Waiters played 32 minutes, but as you said, they had a lot of back and forth between himself and from Westbrook, and it just seemed like you kind of knew this was going to happen almost,
Yeah, I felt like, the Thunder's really only chance to close out this series would be in Game 6. And then they had the lead, and then they just kind of lost it at the end of the fourth quarter. So I figured when it went to Game 7, I predicted that the Warriors won by 10. They ended up winning by 8. But if you look at the game, they were down by 13, really made the turnaround. It shows how much composure they have, how much they really trust their team, and how good of a team they are that they can come back from 3-1 against 2 of the top 5 players in the league and come back and win.
Yeah, I was really impressed by it. And I'm really excited to see the finals now between the Cavaliers and the Warriors. A lot of people are going to say, you get the healthy Cavaliers now, what could have been last year. So really interested to see that. And, of course, we'll be following that as that series gets going, I believe, Wednesday or Thursday?
Thursday. Thursday's Game 1 in Oakland.
In Golden State. Okay. So, going to be a good game. But we're going to get on and move on to the NHL Finals Game 1. the Sharks at Penguins. We're just going to take a quick break here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. We'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And we are back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Here with Alex, I'm Ben. We're going to dive into Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals, which was last night between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the San Jose Sharks. Game 1 was in Pittsburgh. The Sharks unfortunately came out on the losing end, 3-2. Pittsburgh won. They scored a goal there late in the third period to win the game. So, Alex, you watched a lot of the game. What did you feel about the game? What did you see in it?
It was a really, really competitive game. Pretty much, Pittsburgh came out right off the bat, scored with. Oh, I gotta find it. They scored with.
I think they scored with like 2.5 minutes left to win that game.
Well, I'm talking about when they made their first shot. I'm trying to find.
They scored 2 goals in that first period to come out on top.
Hockey always has such weird way of.
I think you need to go. You
listing
can go into
it.
the top right for
I can
the
just go
periods
recap if I need to. But they really came out early on and they scored quick with. That's the end of the game. So 2:33. I won't look for the times. Pretty much the Penguins came out and they scored early.
Yep.
They scored early and they played really dominantly in the first period. Off the glass, they were playing physical. They were playing really strong offense, and they were playing really well within themselves too, which was really impressive to me. So found it right there. About 2 minutes in, the Penguins scored. Brian Rust got his 6th goal of the year. Followed hardly a minute later by a goal by Connor Sheary, his 3rd of the year. They really just came right in and they kind of established their dominance there in the first period. It was really impressive to see because I was somewhat of a fan of the Penguins way back when, guys, like Malkin and Sidney Crosby, real good players on that team. They played really solid offense that first period, and they got out to a quick 2-0 lead, and people were like, "Oh man, this is just going to go right over the Sharks' head." They looked like it was going to be a bad game.
Yeah, but then the Sharks actually rebounded and they scored 2 of their own in the second period to tie the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So what? Pretty much throughout the entire first period, I was really impressed with the Sharks goalie because he handled a lot of pressure throughout that whole first period. And so you get to the second period, and actually I believe the first period ended on a power play too. So he was playing really good defense there throughout the first period. But the second period starts. There wasn't a goal until I want to say it was about a couple minutes in. They scored pretty early on.
Thomas Hertl.
Yeah, Thomas Hertl had a power play goal. It was a really, really pretty goal. Wrap around. Actually, that might be more Lowe's goal. Yeah, it was more Lowe's goal, but Thomas Hertl had a really pretty power play goal. Just nice setup. Just nice. Like when you see like nice. What's the word I'm looking for? It's a soccer term. I'm just forgetting what it's called.
Like a build-up play.
Yeah, pretty much.
Play?
Yeah, same
nice
kind of like set piece. Like they set it up. They set it up beautifully. The second goal there from Marleau a while later. It took him a little while. Patrick Marleau's 5th of the year. Or the playoffs. I'm not sure if that's really what they're keeping track of. But Brent Burns and Logan Couture were, I think I want to say Couture had a strong shot from the outside that bounced around. Brent Burns tried to put it back in. And Marleau wrapped it around, just came around the backside of the goal and really just got it in there right before the goalie came in. In fact, the goalie kind of helped kick it in there. So it was a really, really, really nice setup. And I was really psyched being more of a Sharks fan, but it was a really good game to be watching. I was like, okay, sweet.
Yeah.
It's tied up again. And then not much happened the rest of the second, but it was very clear to me that the Sharks dominated the second after somewhat of a slow start in the first. They were heavy on the boards, great takedowns I was seeing left and right. It was just really impressive to see that complete swap, And it was a great game throughout the entire game. And unfortunately, like you were saying, or fortunately for those who are Pittsburgh fans or just hockey fans in general, the Penguins did score with about 3.5 minutes left in the third there. And even then, too, it was strong play to the whistle. They had a power play going. Marleau ended up going in 2 minutes for a legal check to the head, but then Lovejoy got 2 minutes for hooking, and the game ended on a power play. To the point, actually, as a matter of fact, the Sharks pulled their goalie there at the end too. So it was
get the man advantage.
Score
the tying goal,
and it was just really impressive to watch. Honestly, it was a good game. It was a very entertaining game, and I was super psyched to be able to watch all of it. I didn't get to watch all of their clinching game, the Sharks' clinching game, or any of the Pittsburgh's Game 7 at all either. But it was hopefully something to build for the next game, because it was really, really, and I don't know how much of a hockey fan you are. It was
I love playoff hockey.
It was very much of an entertaining. It was the definition of playoff hockey. It was very, very entertaining, and I was very, very impressed. I would say Jones for the Sharks, Martin Jones, he had, I don't see if they show me his stat line, 38 saves.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the Penguins were really out shooting the Sharks. They outshot them 41-29.
Oh, yeah.
Jones ended up having 38 saves.
41-26 throughout the entire game. Yep. With Pittsburgh. Yeah, I mean,
I find it crazy how these goalies can.
Yeah, it's killer, right? And it's funny too because these guys are so
small,
and these guys are really skinny dudes too. It's not like they look so big in all that gear.
The puck's so small and it's traveling at such a high speed. It's amazing how they can direct where it's going, whether they want to use the stick or the glove to try and save it. It's absolutely incredible. And
both of these goalies really had great games too. With Murray on the other end for Pittsburgh, Matt Murray. Excuse me, I'm going to say Martin Murray. Matt Murray had 24 saves. They both had incredible save percentages throughout the entire game, and they
almost identical, 927 and 923.
Yeah, really, really, really good. Unfortunately, Pittsburgh wasn't able to capitalize on any of their power plays, but the Sharks were 1 for 2 on their power plays. They would have hoped to be, in their eyes, 2 for 2 there, with being able to convert on that last power play to end the game. But really, really, really entertaining. I am very, very excited for the next game.
So what are you looking for? What do you think the Sharks need to do to even the series next game, Game 2, which is going to be on Wednesday?
Yeah, I think they just need to keep playing the kind of hockey they played in the second period last night. They were very, very cohesive, and they were very strong, and they were attacking well. I think for them to go into San Jose with a win from Wednesday, go in Saturday with a series tie, they need to play the whole game like they played yesterday. They need to come out strong. They can't have that lull and let Pittsburgh get across, because Pittsburgh has a very good home crowd. And they get loud and they get into it, and it's really hard to funnel all that out, So I think San Jose is really going to have to come and be the aggressor on Wednesday night, And I think if they can do that, they can go into San Jose on Saturday and be hopefully tied.
For Game 3.
Yeah, it was absolutely. Yeah, I think if they can do that, they're in a good spot.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously the first time the Sharks have been in the Stanley Cup, so I feel like there's maybe a little bit of pressure there. But as I mentioned it last episode, it's ironic because the Sharks are probably facing the least amount of pressure, because so many times they've been the top team in the West, been in the top couple teams in the West, projected to get to the finals and always find some way to not get there. And this year they finally did it. Mm-hmm. So they're kind of looked at as the underdog in this series, so we'll see if they can rebound and pull the upset against the Penguins in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, it would be awesome to see, with such a team full of guys like Thornton and Marleau, and guys that have been playing for this squad for their entire careers almost.
Yeah, Joe Pavelski's been there.
Yeah, Pavelski's been there forever,
Think.
And it would be really nice to see. Like, I was talking to my brother about it yesterday. My brother-in-law is a big hockey fan. And I was saying, do you think if the Sharks win this Stanley Cup do you think Pavelski, guys like Thornton, would consider retiring? Do they really want to go on top, or do they want to have that option of who knows the next time that the Sharks will be in the Stanley Cup? So I think it would. It's something to entertain, I suppose. It's something to look at, hey, maybe. But I am super, super, super excited for Game 2. Like we said, it is Wednesday, the 1st of June. Oh, man, we're already in June.
Time flies, dude. I don't even ever know what day of the week it is anymore, let alone what month it is.
It's Tuesday.
Well, you know what I mean. Like, every day is a work day, pretty much.
Fair enough.
When you were going through grade school, it's Friday, it's almost the weekend. Oh, it's a 3-day weekend. We have Memorial Day coming up. I never even know what. Every day is a day to me now. I'm working one aspect or another every single day.
That's true.
I really don't even ever know anymore.
Well, I keep my days set apart by what sport is on. So Wednesday, hockey.
Wednesday's hockey. Thursday, we have the finals.
Well, both days are finals.
Well,
hockey,
the NBA
basketball.
finals. It's called the finals, so that's why I said that.
It's true. Yeah, it always says it with its gold font.
Yeah.
We're going to take one last break here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, and we'll be right back.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now. Don't bother. What's hot on Netflix and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And we are back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Hey, Ben, are you a racing fan?
I wouldn't say I'm a racing fan. I do watch the big races. Obviously, I had a big one this weekend. Memorial Day weekend is always a big one because we have the Indianapolis 500.
Yeah. You like NASCAR at all?
I went through a phase where I really enjoyed NASCAR.
A phase?
Yeah, I went through it was probably a 2-3 year phase where I would watch like every race. I actually went to a few of them here.
Who's your favorite racer?
I'll probably say Jimmy Johnson.
I like Jimmy Johnson.
I'm not saying that because I'm a bandwagon guy. I always like Jimmy Johnson.
I'm a Dale Earnhardt Jr. guy. I like Dale Earnhardt Jr.
He's
Yeah,
the most popular one. So.
Well, one of them. Yeah. I used to like Dale Jarrett a lot too because my favorite number is one of them is 44, and that was his ride for.
That was
the
for
UPS
44,
right?
Yeah.
But yes, the Indianapolis 500 was on this weekend. Was on Saturday. Rookie
Sunday.
It was on. No, the NASCAR's on Sunday. It was Saturday.
Sunday.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just all over the place. Rookie, 24-year-old California kid.
Yeah, here from Auburn, just right down the road.
Alexander Rossi won. He became only the 9th rookie of all time to win the world's biggest race, just the 6th since the race's earliest days, because obviously pretty much everyone was a rookie back then.
Yeah.
But it was really, really impressive. It was an impressive win for him because no one really knew who this kid was before the race started,
Yeah, he's the first rookie to win the Indy 500 since 2001 when Elio Castroneves won. Obviously, he's not really a rookie anymore.
He's pretty well known.
Big name guy. So
yeah, see if it goes that way for him.
So Rossi really played the fuel mileage right there. With 33 laps left, he sort of, opted to not get gas and opted to stay out there on the track, and he sort of coasted to the finish line there, trying to save every last drop of gas, and he did that.
Yeah, he was actually. I have to pull up the report again, but he was actually going. It was like the slowest winning lap of all time.
Yeah, I think he was down the backstretch. He had a really big lead. He had like half a track lead there going down. Mm-hmm. So his pit crew is just telling him just like coast, like we're running out of gas. So I think he was going like something like 50 miles an hour as he crossed the finish line, which these cars are going 180, 200 miles per hour, and he's going 50, just sort of praying to God he doesn't run out. It's funny because he crossed the finish line and then he did like one turn right after it, and he ran out of gas just right in the turn there. They had to just push him to the finish line.
I always think that's really funny when the guys just
he couldn't even really celebrate. He just had to stop.
Mm-hmm. And he was a 66-1 long shot to win the race this year.
Yeah, I think I have a stat here. He was ranked 24 out of the 33 drivers odds-wise to win the race. So just a total total shocker. When you're playing the fuel mileage game like that, he sort of gained a lot of ground because he didn't go in. That's why he was in the front. So he played it smart, and he got the job done. Congratulations, young man.
So we were right about the snail's pace thing, but according to a very fast Formula One cars, snail's pace was running on fumes, completed the final lap at a snail's pace of 179.784 miles per hour. So slow, but I mean still insanely fast.
Right.
But yes, that's they compared it to the lap record for the day, which was actually his. I forget what the mile per hour was, but yes, he did finish it generally slower than normal, I suppose, especially when you're battling out for those last couple of stretches down the raceway there. It was I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I did watch some of the highlights and look up some of the information, and it was a pretty impressive win on his part.
I feel like Indy cars always have the really dramatic final there because like the open wheel style, they really create more drama there. It seems like every year, maybe except for this year, they have like a photo finish, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. What do you think of the milk celebration?
I don't know if I would want to drink milk. I mean, I like milk. I drink a lot of milk.
I'd say milk is probably my favorite drink. Like, I would love...
I like chocolate milk.
I'm not... Why ruin such a great thing as milk?
Because why not add such a great thing like chocolate?
I feel like it's ruining it. I feel like after such a hot day, you've been in all that flame retardant suit, the helmet, it's hot out there, been racing for 500 miles. I would love nothing more than an ice-cold glass of milk.
It's fair. But I'd rather have water.
No,
water's refreshing. I don't know.
That's too traditional.
Milk is traditional. I've been doing milk
for Indy,
forever.
But that's the only thing they do. You wouldn't see a NASCAR guy drinking milk. He's drinking a Pepsi or a Gatorade.
I'll take a Gatorade.
Yeah, Gatorade is great, but there's nothing like the milk.
I don't know, man.
And then they drink it, and they just spill it all over themselves because they're so happy they won.
And then you smell sour for the rest of the day. I don't need that.
It's worth it. Like, okay, kissing the bricks. Would you kiss the bricks if you won?
Yeah, of course you would. That's like...
Okay, but you're just kissing burned rubber all day. That's been
But that's just a racer thing, man. You kiss the finish line, you kiss the bricks. That's
how's it any different than sour milk on you?
I don't want it to smell like sour milk.
But you could have your lips tasting like burned rubber.
Whatever.
I mean, to each his own, so...
I'd rather kiss the bricks and have some nice Gatorade and water than... lick the bricks and have some milk.
Milk's the best. The milk celebration's probably the best. That's great.
I like kiss the bricks.
They have the flowers.
I like in NASCAR when the dudes climb up the fence to grab the flag.
Oh, the checker flag?
Yeah. I think guys do that.
If you had a celebration, what would you do? Like Carl Edwards always does the backflip. Would you do anything crazy like that?
I would get on top of my car and I'd pretend to do a backflip and just kind of shake everybody off and be like, no, I'm getting down.
What about like climb the cage there?
I don't know. I have a weird thing with heights.
Like a monkey.
I don't know if I'd want to climb it.
I think I'd probably do that because I can't do anything really acrobatic like Edwards does.
I would get up halfway and be like, never
mind. I'd probably climb the cage and like act like Spider-Man.
That's true. I'd start like whamming people. Got you.
I got you. Obviously, you have the burnout, the celebration, but then I'd probably start climbing the cage.
I would try to make drawings in the field, in the midfield with my car.
Kind of like Talladega Nights.
Exactly like that.
That's got to be impossible. How could you really do that?
You can't.
Exactly. So what would it come out like?
Next week's episode, we will talk about how is it possible to draw with your NASCAR.
Yeah, we're going to have the analytics on that.
We're going to have a gentleman come in who went to school for the science of drawing with cars.
The science of burnouts.
Yeah, and drawing things with cars.
He's going to lay it all out for us, so we'll know exactly what we need to do when in our next life when we're famous race car drivers. We'll have it down pat by then.
And for those of you who are getting really excited for next week's episode when that man is on, don't be.
Because it's not happening.
He's not showing up. But, anyways, thank you guys for listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. As always, I'm Alex.
And I'm Ben.
And you guys can check us out on Twitter at GSMC_sports, on Facebook at Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, and on iTunes.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe on iTunes.
Yeah, it's
once
GSMC,
you subscribe,
you'll find all of our shows.
And once you subscribe, it's automatically downloaded to your device of your choosing, so you don't have to ever worry about what it comes to finding us. It's already there.
Or you just have to open your app because I don't like my stuff automatically downloading. I open it and it says new episode and I go, oh, listen.
I'd rather have it auto-downloaded.
No, I mean, to each their own. Just like the bricks thing. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
I just don't like having weird, like, loading things on my phone.
Because that way I know exactly when it goes live. I can pick it up. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll be in the car in 45 minutes. I'm going to go listen to it. Or, you know, have a break from my next class at school. So I'm going to listen to it real quick.
That's true.
So I kind of like that. Because then I feel like when you're having to search for things, sometimes it gets lost in the archives. Or I'm not a big fan of that.
It's true. I like that.
Yeah. So you can always do that. That helps us out a lot. Make sure you go on gsmcpodcast.com. There's also a ton of other podcasts, not just sports related, where you can listen to.
Yeah, there's a cool football one. There's a really cool soccer one.
Not sports related.
Oh, there's a cooking one.
Yeah, there's like relationships, Weekender, weird news. The weird news one's really funny.
Movies. There is the technology podcast. There's an entertainment podcast. There's, I think that's all of the ones we have up right now. Travel,
have like social media. A lot of them are starting up soon, so make sure you get ready because they're going to be coming at you guns blazing.
Except for no guns, water guns, because it's so hot out.
Yeah, definitely. That would be a great. I would love to have a water balloon fight right about now.
Yeah, let's go Wednesday because it's going to be 108 degrees. Deal.
I hate the summer, dude. I hate the weather. I love the cold. You can at least put on a jacket.
That's true. It's a lot
easier. Put on a jacket and a beanie and
cool
you'll be fine.
That's true.
In the heat, you're just there. You can't do a thing about it.
That's true. Well, on that note, we're going to try not to burn up in here, and we will see you guys next time.
Thank you for listening, and have a good day.